Greek mythology. Pretty much a very guaranteed history thing that is really the greatest thing that ever became. Thanks to Greek mythology, we came up with so much stuff and so much fantasy that is definitely the greatest thing ever. It's one of my favorite subjects. And of course, as promised, GPReed has, of course, have a lot of course, mythology put to him, with his videos always containing some hint of Greek mythology. It begs the question of where did this all come from and what's the whole idea, especially when it comes to the GPReed series of videos. Well, today I decided to talk about at least 3 Greek mythology symbolism he has put into since the. Now, before I continue, I want to note that in this video I won't be talking about the alchemic symbols that much. Instead, I already did a previous video on that. That will be linked in the description down below. Though you can still come to my channel and it will still be underneath the tab where I have all the other GPReed theory videos if you need to catch up. But I already did a video, as this is part 2 of that video. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive into mythology. The first Greek mythology we need to talk about is the Pheonix. And we all know where this comes from the character the Pheonix such and such. Now, of course, I don't really know if the Pheonix guy is really just another account that just dropped into this along with, Ragdoll. But Pheonix is definitely a very interesting creature. In mythology, they were known for being immortal birds that, were made out of flames and all that. Now, obviously, there's not too much to say about it other than, the bird's context has been established multiple times with, GPReed. He even used the symbol of the bird beforehand, and it's no doubt it has some other things with it. However, probably the biggest, most notable thing is that the Pheonix are known to be the all-knowing. This is actually what the X-Men character Pheonix is named after because of that. And, there's a bit more, but I think the reason why I brought that up is because I think the reason why the whole Pheonix is there is because Pheonix are known to be very old and very knowledgeable, and I have a theory that is the reason why GPReeds use it so much. Next up is Helios, and excuse me if I do not pronounce that thing correctly, but Helios is the god of sun. And there is a reason why I'm bringing this up. As already expected, Unami is heavily known for being part of the sun in very much things. And there's a bunch of things to note about the whole sun, being that it represents a lot of things. And the real thing is, I did kind of look at a while to see if there's any connection that could be and there is one, being that there was the abduction of Perissos, which, if you guys recall, in my first part, I talked about her mother being Ceres, aka Demeter, in, Greek, whatever you want to call it, being kidnapped by Hades and blah, blah, blah. And I can't help but make a comparison to that, being that Naomi knows where Trest is, and I'm not saying that there probably are the Hades, but they could be but I don't know if that is connected in some way, but I do know that story sounds very familiar of what GPReed might be trying to accomplish. There's also something called the blank of Ares and Helios, if I'm saying that correctly, I'm not going to say the name, it's weird, but it is a story about how heroes trapped them all because they found out about lovers and blah blah. And it's no doubt that you have to read the story to yourself. Um, However, there's no doubt that it has a connection to GPReed's about love and lovers, since we all know how that hits home bases. And there's no doubt that this is more symbolism towards that in some way. Yeah, and it definitely shows that it even says that one of the persons he trapped later on hated Helios and all of his race. So yeah, that is a big red flag. Again, it will. I'll definitely put a link down in the description below for all the mythical crap I'm reading you with. But that is something we need to. That's something I wanted to talk about real quick. And then we get to the biggest one I really do want to talk about, which is, of course, the biggest one that I really did want to talk about, being Medusa. Obviously, if you guys have seen my videos, we have hinted about talking about this Greek mythology person for a while now. And for those who do not know, Medusa is pretty much that one with snake hair that turns into a stone if you look at her. Now, there is a lot of symbolism that could go into this, much more than even I'm overlooking. But there are two symbolisms I can say. One that I came up to myself because it kind of relates, and once again, it's kind of like the Pokemon thing. But the other is one that I kind of did miss, but could be a actual reference towards something and could make sense in the future if this is correct. Now, obviously, for those who do not know, Medusa is possibly the second mythological creature from Greek that was introduced right after Pheonix, due to how GPReed pronounced his family affairs and stuff. And I would show the video, and I'll send a link down in the description below of that specific video of when that was shown. But because of my freaking me being that my Switch is 15% and needs charge, and I don't want to charge it right now, I'd say later. But to make a long story short, you can still watch the video. He met a group of parents who somewhat worship Medusa or the Greek mythology showing snakes. There's no doubt that it was Medusa. And the reason why I bring Medusa up is because Medusa is very interesting. So the way Medusa became Medusa is pretty much, and I'm going to give out the whole burner thing in PS. If I go to Roman and Greek, we all know it's the same, so deal with it. Just FYI. So, but pretty much we all know basically what happened to Medusa if we're up to 7th grade level, or lower, depending on if you do know the story or not. But the way Medusa began, Medusa first was a woman who then had sex with, you know who, Poseidon. And yeah, I know, but whatever. Yep. And of course, because Poseidon had an affair with his wife, which I'm blanking on her name, but you know, all that, even though he done much more than just that one, he was very pissed off, and what she did was she turned Medusa into Medusa, turning her in you know, with the whole snake thing, and cursed her because of that. Until that curse was somewhat broken when she died, when part of that used to have been Poseidon's son came in and chopped her head off using the whole mirror thing. I know I'm chopping up the pieces of the story, but it's really just a simple story. You just can go ahead and look at it, but still, it's very much a very interesting but straightforward story. And the reason why I bring this up is I do remember there was a little bit of feud with GPReed and his friends. Now, I don't know if there was anything about cheating involved, but we do know that there's no doubt once again, is another symbolism to broken romance, which seems to play a role in this thing. And there's no doubt about it. There is a guaranteed role being played with this. Though how it does is I don't know. Really, I do not know. Now, the last thing I'll talk about Medusa in a bit, and I already mentioned this a lot, but I thought I can show it, especially now since, jokingly speaking, I got this book recently, is the whole reference with, the whole Soul Eater reference being Medusa as a character. And yes, this is once again coming to gun like Pokemon here, but there's no doubt there's a reference with that considering the story of how Medusa works in Soul Eater. And pretty much, if you guys know, pretty much many people know jokingly by now what Soul Eater is, but for those who do not know, Medusa is technically, to my opinion, is the full-on main antagonist force, along with her sister being the spider thing lady. I'm blanking on her name, but I think it was Agrakina or something. And of course, the whole thing of them two having a war, releasing Kishin. And the reason why I bring Medusa up, and even her sister up, is the fact that you obviously know that you can't help but notice that what she does in the series is somewhat related to what Naomi does, as we discover, being she does test subjects the same way. After all, that's how we got Corona, not the virus, but the character, which is very, very good timing before that happened, and pretty much other things. And there's no doubt that there is related. Now, if Soul Eaters is related to this, obviously that's just me jumping the gun, but there's no doubt that I have a feeling that it's just me putting relatment on that front. But trust me, I do feel like there's more than just that, but, it's very much how I figure. I mean, I do theory that there was some reference with Soul Eater with that. I think it's just coincidence because, GPReed's ARG is much more straightforward and very well hidden with its meaning. I mean, but then again, who knows? We don't exactly know yet. So if I were to literally break it down and kind of actually showcase what these things could mean by a sense that isn't weird or wacky, the first thing I will say is, if this is somewhat the case, I think the reason why there's a lot of Greek symbolism is A, because of alchemy, but again, we already went down that road, and B, because of the romance, because we all know how Greek mythology worked. There was a lot of people lusting in the gods saying it's just being factual, and it just shows because it actually gets pretty dark. Again, I am still into Greek mythology, and I've seen like probably one of my favorite comic books I've seen when I was in middle school and all that. But there's no doubt that even without that comic book thing, like the Greek mythology thing with romance, even without the whole Medusa thing, is pretty much very, very messed up, and there's no doubt it's a symbolism to GPReed's story, because there's a lot of heartbreak in that story, and I think that is. As for the Pheonix character, it's pretty obviously represent knowledge, though if he's actually a character in this or not, I don't know. But, the whole thing is really, the whole Greek symbolism, no doubt was another hint toward alchemic. Remember, believe it or not, the whole alchemic thing came from Greek. And a few other places, but definitely one of the places was Greek with the whole symbols. And there's no doubt about that, which begs a little bit of questioning where this goes next. Now, of course, I could be wrong, but I have a feeling that Greek may have been trying to hint at the whole alchemic thing. And of course, we can't forget about the horseman guy, but I just put that as a reference because I figured there's gotta be some reference with the sun, and I'll try to make another video trying to literally explain what this whole sun business means with the whole soul core, because there's no doubt there's a symbolism with the sun crap. But as for now, it's very much unclear, but the biggest thing I want to point out is there's no doubt there's gotta be a symbolism to Medusa in all this. What that character could mean, I have zero idea. Again, these are all just prediction theories, bullshit I'm pulling out, because, again, these are all symbolisms he has shown before. He has shown the sun before which also in its Greek alchemic form. He has showcased Medusa through the family. And there's no doubt that this also has a lot of connections. I mean, again, we just also talked about the Poseidon symbol on that one mask that one person was wearing during that one Naomi video. So there's no doubt there's a reference to Medusa in a lot of areas. And Poseidon for some fucking reason. Again, this is just my theories, and I'm just pulling it out there. So, I don't know. We could actually get a fact that it could be somewhat like Soul Eaters or not with the whole Medusa character, and I can't help but pull that out, but then again, we do not know. And also the spider thing, but, you know, if that's the case, that's even funnier, because there is a character in, I'm not joking, Medusa does have a sister who uses with spiders. That's just jumping the gun. But, again, I'm jumping a little bit to this close. I'm just pointing out what symbolisms I have seen, and so far the actual two symbolism I have seen is the Pheonix and Medusa. The sun is just a basic one that I have been seeing. I could see a lot of Greek. There's a lot of Greek being pulled into this. What does this make sense for us? I really do not know. However, what I do know is that this is the second part to the symbolism. Like I said, you can dive into this if you want. I'll send a link down in the description below for all the things. And again, just a grain of salt. Just note that this isn't the answer. There's definitely not an answer to this. How big as this goes? I don't know. I wish I did. But, you know, it is kind of like the saying. But I do know that Greek, one of those things that I can guarantee and confirm, unless I'm a little bit wrong, but it did have hints towards, is that one of the same reasons why this Greek thing, symbolism, even pointed out to begin with, was it was hinting towards the fact that alchemy was in fact going to be a big role. Now, again, I could be lost in grains, as you guys probably know, that this is, I mean, I am fascinated with this stuff more than you think. I have a freaking periodic table, for Christ's sake, over at my walls and all that. We all know how smart I am. I even showed the freaking backstory book. But I'm not that smart enough, so this is just me jumping the gun with a lot of things, like literally doing jumping jacks over a fucking shotgun. So I don't know what I'm saying, but I really do know that there's a lot of symbolism, and I will try to boil it down as best as I can to give us the idea. But again, you know, there's a lot of Greek mythology, and one thing I can definitely confirm, or rather two things, is Medusa is a big role into this, and B, this whole thing was hinting towards the whole alchemy thing. How big? I don't know. But anyways, that's all I can say. Snapping out of here. Bye.